John, can you refresh the browser, please? And then just say hello when you're back. I knew this was going to be a different week. Apologies for yesterday, Peter.
It's okay. No, I've actually been myself.
Oh dear. I know so many people. There's a bug going around.
Coming out of winter.
Now we're waiting for John again. Yeah, I think it's doing the round. Right, okay. Now, hands up time. That was totally my fault. Fire Talk is perfect. I'm not. I screwed it up. I've been testing vMix. Yeah, because I want to do a bit more production work. Not necessarily on this show, though. And it was trying to use my vMix software. Right, so we're back. We're good. So, welcome to Blabbing for Britain, episode 47. Good morning, Peter and John.
Morning.
Good morning.
Right, okay. Now, I suppose the only place we can really start this week is well, Marmite Gate. No, this is you either like it or hate it, but Marmite Gate is trending on Twitter today because Tesco's and Unilever.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
I have to say, I'm not surprised that sort of thing is coming to the fore. For one of my clients yesterday, I had to send an email to all of his customers advising them that because the pound has fallen so much after the 12 months, he's probably going to have to next week give them 28 days notice of a service charge on top of their standard pricing.
He's not going to be alone, is he?
What does he mean by a service charge?
Well, a service charge is the word I just used. He used a slightly different word. And if you give me 1 second, I'll tell you exactly what his phrase was. Where am I here? Yeah, a currency surcharge is the phrase he actually used.
Okay. But how's the thing? It was mentioned in the radio just now. When it becomes strong again and it becomes super strong, are they going to do that other ways? You're going to come and say, I'm going to drop this for you now. Well, I noticed that with the fish and chip industry. The fish went up and up and up and up, and they said, oh, we've got to put it on. But they never bloody took it back down again.
Yeah, and the same with potatoes as well. Every time the new potato season comes around, the price of chips goes up.
Yeah.
But potatoes have got cheaper and cheaper over the years. But the price of chips hasn't fell. I think Anthony's quite an honourable person, and he will always itemise that surcharge. And if he feels he can drop it, he will get rid of it or make it smaller.
Yeah. Well, you see, this is what's happening. I was out at Asda in just North Aberdeen, and it used to be a big shopping centre. I went in there, and most of the places were closed down, empty. This was a Sunday. It was on our bikes, absolutely empty for Asda. And those Aldis and those Lidls are really hitting them for six locally. I've seen, you know.
Last Thursday, I went to the opening of a new Lidl store. It is as big as your average supermarket. They're not the tiny little stores they used to have. No. And the brand names are now appearing in the Aldis and Lidls as well.
Mm-hmm. And we had one open just 5 minutes from me in the car, just down the road. It was an Aldi's. They were queuing up to get inside. And we've actually changed to Aldi's. We buy most of our stuff from Aldi's
I
now.
quite enjoy going to Lidl and Aldi, but I love Lidl because they have in-store bakeries, and it's a proper in-store bakery.
I know, and when you smell those croissants,
you walk through the door, and the bakery's immediately the first thing, and you cannot help but saying, I'll have 3 cookies, I'll have a couple of croissants, and I'll have some nice bread for later.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because the way things are changing, you know, how we are up here in Aberdeen. And we've now, the local paper has actually set up a Facebook site, and it's called Buy Northeast. And you can go on and you can say that you're, so being me, I phoned them because they're taking certain people and putting them in the paper, you know. So I phoned up, I said, all they've seen is retail stuff, and says, what about the pest control man? Get me in there. So hopefully, he says he'll phone me back. And it's buying local, because I'm up against a national business that will give people like Tesco's basically for nothing, a loss leader. Who pays for that? The locals.
Oh, yeah.
So that's, I'm doing it in reverse, buy local. So it's quite a good campaign, you know. So anything for the publicity.
Mr. Sloan's commenting that I do not know how to pronounce Lidl.
Lidl.
It is Lidl.
No, we know how to pronounce Tesco, and your point is well taken, Roland. Tesco, well, in fact, all the supermarkets are there to make money from us, which is fair game, given that if we had to source the goods ourselves, it costs a hell of a lot more.
Well, they've done this in Belgium, Unilever, actually. Just reading it on Facebook just now. They've done it in Belgium. And unfortunately, the people still wanted their brand, and a lot of them left the shops that, it's a big chain like Tesco, and they actually left and went to the people that had it because they wanted their brand name. That's quite interesting.
And I think what Lidl's been doing with the brand name is not trying to compete on a one can price, but if I go into Tesco's, I can buy 5 cans of Heinz baked beans for £2.69, and if I go into Lidl, or however you pronounce it, I can buy a 7-pack for £2.89. So they're just trying to position slightly differently. I.e., you pay a little bit more, but you get a lot more.
It's quite interesting because Tesco's do it as well. They'll say to suppliers, we're paying you this, end of story, that's your price if you want to deal with us. But Unilever are big boys as well, so it'll be, I wonder who'll win the clash of the titans, you know, to see who's going to win this. And if they put it up to Tesco, they're obviously going to put it up to every other shop that they sell to. So I don't know, maybe a boycott. Some people are boycotting. I was mentioning that already. Don't buy their products because they've done it with Hovis. Did you know that?
No, carry on. Yeah.
So they've done it with Hovis. Tesco said, "No, we're not paying that price." And the Hovis says, "Well, it's fine. We won't supply you that." It says, "Don't supply us." And seemingly their profits went down about 19%. Then they started supplying again. So it's quite interesting. Very interesting to see what's happening, but it can't be all down to Brexit. Everything can't be down to Brexit. We've just got to hold our own. And for people, going back to that, and for people to say, "Oh, prices are going to," of course there's going to be fluctuations in the market until we steady ourselves, you know. And once it's steady, we'll know where to buy and we'll know what to do. Just when we went on the beaches at Dunkirk, and we came back and it says, right, what are we going to do now?
There's a bit of a difference between Marmite Gate and Dunkirk, I think, but never mind. Right, okay, John.
Did I hear mention of that word Brexit somewhere there, Peter?
Yes.
Is that a topic we should cover for a few minutes? Because it's a big day for Brexit. In fact, it's a big 3 days for Brexit, because the judicial review of whether Parliament should have a vote on Brexit starts today and concludes on Monday.
Right.
No, Mrs. May has said no, hasn't she? It's not going to happen.
Mrs. May is claiming that she has the right under a law introduced in 1400 to give the king at the time the ability to override Parliament, which is now subsided, whatever you care to say, is now in the hands of Mrs. May and her senior ministers to override Parliament or ignore Parliament. And so that's the battle, if you like, that's going through the Court of the Lords of Justice today.
And a lot of people are saying it's sour grapes because the Remain are still wanting their Remain, and they'll do every jiggery pokery to get out of it. And they don't realise the nation decided. The nation decided.
The nation decided when they were told a lot of lies, though. And that's what's coming to the fore, really.
But listen, how many people get into government and tell lies, and then they backtrack on the things that they do? Every bloody one of them. Everybody. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Somebody won. You put on a horse, and if you put it first past the post, no point of crying if you're 1 second, because the first horse beat you. End of. It's done. It's done. We've just got to make sure we get a good deal.
This isn't about not doing Brexit. This is about the way we do Brexit, though. That's the difference. Yeah. This is saying Parliament must have a vote on what happens rather than leaving it to 3 people to do.
Don't you think as a country we're being threatened by Europe? Not in a war type of way, but
if anything, I mean, I was a Remainer, yes, but the way that the Junkers and all the others have reacted has made me have more leanings towards exiting.
Well, hey, wow. No, but it's true that they've got sour grapes, because what they're saying, I mean, look at Holland, all the parties and Marine Le Pen and all these people, things are starting to change, and if we get a good deal, they're going to follow. Well, if we can get the best deal, it's but they don't like that. You see, the mainstream media don't like reporting that, but it's happening. It's happening, and we're just and there's no. But I mean, what's happening with Germany with the German cars? What's happening there? What are they saying?
So I have to make a decision about what car I'm going to have at the end of January, because my contract finishes at the end of January.
Right.
I've got a suspicion I'm going to have another French one.
Right.
And I might have a Korean one. So who knows?
Well, somebody's going to win. If somebody says, "Oh, we're not doing BMW," well, we'll just have to buy different cars, and somebody will come in and we'll just have to dive in. Or pay a lot of money for your BMW. If you can afford it, pay for it. So somebody will win in the end. Somebody might come and say, "Hey, we'll make your cars for you." Yeah, no problem.
Shall we get on to a happier topic?
Yeah. Is there any today?
Mr. Healy, your hometown has been voted, well, not voted, reported as the happiest, friendliest place in Britain.
There's no like Burnley folk. If they wants to know what's I'll go back to my normal accent. I'm chuffed, really. It is my hometown. Many moons ago, I was there till I was sort of and it's an accolade to say the place is friendly. It is the knock on next doors and get some sugar sort of thing, and visitors to the town are welcome.
Says Sean Dyche rules.
Well, I think the football obviously spurs the town on, because for a population of 70,000 to have a team in the Premiership is pretty good going. But yeah, I mean, Burnley folk are friendly. I'm not going to argue with that. I'm Burnley folk. You know.
Although the organisation's saying it, I must say, I've never heard of before, the Legatum Institute.
They're a good people, John. I trust them implicitly.
Myself, but beans and peas was a Legatum. No, that's legumes, isn't it? Oh, well.
All I can say is that the PR department in Burnley is doing extremely well in digging these things up. Because last week there was a report on Burnley which said that production in Burnley had increased year on year by 70%.
Very good.
Which
production of what?
Everything. I mean, it's a high-tech area now,
right.
And the national trend is that production was going up 17%, but in Burnley it was going up 70%. I don't have the exact link at the moment.
Okay.
But that's 2 good news stories for Burnley in a week, and all we need now is for Burnley to win. again.
This is Burnley, Lancashire. You're on about.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
my hometown. My hometown.
All right.
Well,
Okay.
well, while we're on the subject of Claret and Blue, it would appear we have a new manager down in the Midlands.
I've heard of him before, haven't you?
Some poor fella that's going to get in another hot seat. Last 12 weeks and be I was going to use a rude word then, be cast aside, shall we say.
Yeah. Rolly
it
thinks
must
he'll
be-
do
must
okay.
be being a manager, because you do get well paid, and you can do a year and get knowing you're going to get a big payoff. I'd do it for a week. Would you?
The average life of a Villa manager is currently 14 weeks. So
That's not too good, is it? Really?
Do you know, they don't give him time. I remember Alex Ferguson, he was up here, he did a bloody good job in Aberdeen. I'm not a footballing guy, but I remember when he went to Manchester, they were beating for his blood to get rid of him. I bet they regret that now. Look what he's done. Look what he's done for that club. Yet, in the early days, they would have had him out in his year. And that's what I don't like about the fans, the way they treat
I'm afraid I was and still remain a Roberto Di Matteo fan, and I think you cannot judge someone on 11 matches where you come into a hellhole. You've taken on 50 to 60% of your team have never met each other before the start of the season, yet alone gelled as a team. You cannot sack someone after 11 matches. That's bloody ridiculous.
It is.
I mean, some of the fans I would say, listen, I'm going to come and watch you at your work for 11 weeks, mate. And I'm going to see what you're like. And the 11th week, you're going. How would you like that?
The thing is, I think this is also a Chinese trait, because poor old bloke at Wolves is in exactly the same position. He hasn't had a good time for the first 12 matches. And the current rumour is that if he doesn't win on Saturday, he's out the door.
Yeah.
And guess who is playing on Saturday?
Who?
The Villa.
Oh, right, okay.
Right.
It's Wolverhampton versus the Villa on Saturday.
Right.
And a new man in for the Villa, and I'm much more interested in who's going to end up as assistant manager at the Villa, because I would love to keep Steve Clarke.
Right.
But I have a feeling that we could see the current Hull manager appear as the assistant manager.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, there's a team swap, because they tend to travel together, don't they? Well,
and Mr. Phelan hasn't been made full-time manager, so he's got nothing much to lose. To move from caretaker manager at Hull to assistant manager at the Villa.
Well, just think. Yeah, okay, just a minute. We had Marmite Gate. Just for a minute, stay with football. After Marmite Gate, Southgate.
Yeah, well, we're still back at the Villa again, aren't we? He was one of Villa's best ever players, let's be real.
Yeah.
And he has got 3 points out of a possible, 4 points out of a possible 6.
And that's not good.
And he can remain top of the group. So let's see what he does next time out. He's got 2 more matches to prove himself, hasn't he?
Well, he's got, I mean, but to judge somebody on 4 games, you just said 11 games is ludicrous. 4 games is even more so. I mean, the guy who has been with England forever.
But what I'd also like to point out is that the team he left to become the England main manager, the under-21s, which he's been working with to really improve for a couple of years now, they won 6-0 on Monday. So there's got to be something about Southgate if he can build the under-21s to win matches 6-0. He's got to be able to do something with the main team, I would have said.
Right. Somebody just
like anybody, he needs time.
Yep. Right, Peter, sorry, we'll stop talking football now.
I was going to wait a second. I'll tell you what I'm going to maybe suggest. Regrets. Now, John, sorry about your mum, but when you put up that photograph on Facebook.
My mum?
Yeah. That's one of my biggest regrets in life, not taking enough photographs at times when I was younger. You know, your mum looked a happy, active type of person.
1951, that photograph was taken.
And that's one of my big regrets in life, not taking enough photographs and looking back on it, you know. So yeah,
I had to do a lot of restorative work to make that picture acceptable, because it had faded to death over the years.
I'm going to tell you about my biggest regret. Hold on a minute though.
Okay.
I don't know what you would have done here. So I was on a train coming back from Dundee early, and we come through and we started and we come through past a park and we were going slow. And I thought I seen an old man with a bicycle, but he was lying face down. And you know it says £50 fine for pulling the cord. I was younger. I didn't have a bloody clue what to do. And that's something that's bothered me all my life. I should have pulled that cord or run for a guard or something. It just happened so quick.
Yeah.
And the man was like, and I just thought, oh, I wonder if he was ever found. So yeah, regrets. Have you any regrets?
Probably, but my mind today is just not there. So ask me any question I'm expecting, I'll answer you. But any sort of broad thinking, a bit difficult.
I don't think you can afford to have regrets in this day and age. You've just got to do what you can with what you've got. And if you've missed it, you've missed it. There's nothing you can do about it. You can't wind the clock backwards. You've got to say to yourself, what am I going to do today and what am I going to do tomorrow? And not live in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't live in the past. That's my problem. In fact, tonight, I'm going away to see something called Democracy at the Theatre.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about the Stasi in Germany and about the spying. So, you know, that's my thing. I was give a talk about Berlin Wall this week as well.
Will that be your topic if you ever end up on Mastermind, Berlin and the Stasi? Your specialist topic, Mr. Stewart, is...
You could get people who can't know saying how many miles above 95 and by this and that and that. And it just amazes me, you know. But, yeah.
Well, it was a fascinating period of history, because that's when things could have gone pear-shaped, that era.
Yeah.
When there were nuclear weapons on both sides, with Russia and America, and there was no nuclear test ban, and it went to the brink. And we all remember well, not necessarily all of us, but I'm sure we do, the Cuban crisis.
Yeah.
You know. And
I'm too young to remember the Cuban.
Well, that's why I was being kind, John. I mean, it might.
You're about 2 years older than me, Stephen. I do remember the Cuban crisis.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I remember in Germany is when Poland had a bit of problems a few years back, you know, when they start to rise up, people start to rise. We were actually during the middle of the night called out, and we had to go into our tanks and everything. And this was totally unexpected. And I spoke to Paul since then, and it was that time. And the general, he was told by the Russians, if you don't control this now, we are putting fighters in the air and we'll control it for you.
Yeah.
And so the Polish guy got a bad name, but he kind of saved his country with it by taking it under control. And I didn't find that out until I was speaking to Polish people. And the other guy, not Lech Walesa, but
Vlasak Havel, was it? Something like that.
Did you know when they found out about him in the end? He was actually like a spy for the Russians.
Oh, right, okay.
They found out, where did you get all this money? And do you know what his wife said? He won it on the lottery or gambling, something like that, on the horses. Or something like, it was gambling. And this Polish people were telling me about it. And so you don't hear much of him now, because it turns out he was feeding information.
Mm.
Yeah. Fantastic.
A quote, well, it's a comment from Neil, which I'll read out, just pure because it's simplicity and beauty. Wisdom, the ability to look forward, but with one hand on the past to ensure that your decisions are driven from experience. I think that's true. That's why people have got to know about history, isn't it? I mean,
yeah.
You know, I mean, yes, do these surveys these days, and they ask kids about history, and they just don't know. He's getting a sense of proportion.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I don't know. What's the history they get in schools now?
I don't know.
You know, what's their history curriculum?
I don't know. My kids left school years ago, so
Yeah. Again, go back to
forgotten,
Berlin.
really.
I'm surprised. That's Gordon. Check him
Morning,
out.
Gordon.
He's making my coffee. Yeah. Intelligent guy, that man. Yeah, taught him well. But no, I was quite surprised back to Berlin how many people have forgotten it all, didn't even know about it, basically. You know, it's so in the past. Right.
Yeah.
What else we're going to say? I'm going to have to leave early today, folks, so I'll have to watch
Cheap glasses. Yeah, we all.
Okay.
I don't know about Stephen, but I always have a pair of cheap reading glasses. And we're going back to Aldi and Lidl, you see, because these are really special. These came from Aldi, and the reason they're special is they've got little LED lights in the corner, so you can read your book at night without having the lights on.
Robert, have you seen my glasses?
Oh dear.
LED lights in the corner.
I wonder where they went.
£3.99.
Okay.
And you've even got 4 spare batteries.
My cousin's got them as well, I think.
And just to correct Roland for a moment, this show is not sponsored by Aldi. Today, this show is sponsored by me. And if you follow that link, hopefully it comes up right. Just a moment. If anybody wants to get involved in broadcasting, if you follow that link, it will give you a free copy of my latest course on Skillshare, which is going live on Facebook. All right, that's open to everybody who wants to take it. I need to get 25 students. I've got 16 at the moment, so I need 9 people. Sorry, 9 people. Right, okay. I just want to make mention here, while we're here, of Jessica Ennis-Hill, who is our foremost pentathlete.
Yeah.
And has been with us for years and has announced her retirement today. I think
very
she
good
was
looking for 66 then.
Sorry.
I said,
that's retired. Missed that, John. You've got to appreciate this. She's retired from sport.
oh, I knew there was something I got wrong.
Yeah. She's our most successful pentathlete ever, and of course Santander lover. So you see her, you'll still see her on television, but she won't be competing. So thank you for that.
Does she still have a stand named after her at Sheffield United?
Quite possibly. I don't think. I mean, she's only just retired, so they wouldn't really, you know.
I don't know. She threatened to sever links with them because of the footballer that was accused of
right, yeah.
naughty things, who's currently being retried.
Yeah, which brings us back onto no, we're not going to talk Trump this week. Let's have a week off.
Yeah,
indeed.
But you know, I look back at athletes, and I always thought that amateurs, you know, there's a lot of money to be made being an athlete if you do well. You know, I didn't realise that. So, where's the money in running? Running.
Well, it's Formula One on legs, because they do a grand tour, don't they, of all the European cities, and there's big prize money and appearance fees. So they do the Olympic sort of thing and the country thing, and they obviously get paid a little bit for that. But the money, as you say, is there, and it comes from touring Europe. I didn't
realise what it was made. So now you know I do a bit of cycling.
We do, yes. But you do. You can sing. We've got to give you that one.
But the bad news is, I may have suspected angina because every time I go on a hill, all the old age pensioners go past me, and I'm last up a hill now. So
on your bike?
Yeah. Big steep hills, and it really, really cheeses me off. And my brother-in-law, he's a doctor, and he says, I want you to go and see your doctor, Peter. So, because I'm going up that hill. So I think it's best I go and look at it, you know. So, bit disappointed, but he says if you get a stent or something in it, he says you'll be going like a train.
Yeah.
Never thought it would happen to me.
It's best to get it checked out, Peter. Right, Roland's placed a link. Where's the link go, Roland? Not to.
It's about my question on the Jessica.
Oh, right, okay.
It's now the red brick stand after an estate agent.
Okay, right. Trending on Twitter this week. Nothing really, which brings us on to Twitter. Where are they going? What are they doing? Are they here?
Had a few headaches, hasn't it, this week?
Yeah, the doom and gloom merchants have been out this week, saying that Twitter is failing. Again, it happens once a month. They come out and say it's not doing well. Not doing well compared to whom? I mean, it's unique in its ability to broadcast live events live to the world, because Twitter, comparing Twitter and Facebook, Twitter is open to everybody. You don't have to sign in to, well, you know what I mean. You can retweet without being signed in.
You know, it's something I hardly ever use it. In fact, Eamon Holmes, who's just left Sky TV, follows me now, and so he's gone. And but I haven't used Twitter. I just, you've got to get a platform you like, and I think Facebook is the thing I do now. You know, that's what I concentrate on.
Yeah.
I've got a few clients that I tweet for.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I think Twitter is an excellent platform for business.
Really?
I'm definitely seeing, I mean, I spoke about Anthony earlier, the gentleman who went about the currency. I've, for 8 months now, been doing a newsletter and a series of tweets. Tweeting an average of 3 times a day. Sometimes it's once, sometimes it's 5 times a day. So as it looks more natural. It's not natural, it's posting from a product. And occasionally I'll go in and I'll manually post. But he maintains that his website has grown in a static way instead of going up and down this year. And he puts a lot of it down to the tweets.
Yeah.
Because we're constantly tweeting an image, a link, and a phrase.
Right.
And the fact is that every picture also has at the bottom of it his logo twice in each corner, his website address and his telephone number. And he feels that both his telephone calls and his website visits have increased, and he can only put it down to the Twitter activity and the newsletter activity.
How does he monitor that?
Sorry? How does he monitor that? And every tweet we do, we put a little extension that allows us to track how many times that's been clicked.
Right, okay. Yeah, we'll look at. Well, the good news for me is I've managed to get hold of
Morning, Stephen.
Morning.
Morning, Stephen.
I'm going to wait to do it the old-fashioned way. We're going to wait to do like a phone call appointment or email phone call appointment, and I've got somebody to do that for me now. So I'm quite happy about that, because going to network and hold on. Donna, your mum's sleeping and I'm on a conference, okay? And I'm finding that doing the network, you're getting a person at a time. You're looking for this person, but quite up. So what I'm doing is I'm wanting to do mass, get out there, 10 phone calls, rather than just try to get that one at a time through networking, etc. So I'm going to go and have a push. An old-fashioned push. But I maybe speak to you, John, about the postcards, because you use postcards, don't you?
Yeah, we've been using postcards quite a bit. It's going back to roots, if you like.
Yeah.
Because, you must have noticed you get far less junk mail through the door these days than you did 5 years ago. And we're now finding that because the postcard is coming in the post and this is to businesses, not home.
Yes.
It's getting attention that it used to be in the bin before. Now it's getting some attention because we put a nice, pretty picture on it. and different things.
Right, good morning, Stephen.
Hello, how are we all?
We're fine. We've had Marmite Gate.
Marmite Gate. I
We've
saw
sorted
some guy
out.
saying that Tesco's have been. I won't say what he said, but yeah, it's a weirder situation, and it's a consequence of the old Brexit, I think, isn't it?
It is indeed.
My software development costs have gone up about 20% in the last 3 months, which is
Bloody hell.
nice. Thank you.
That's a direct result, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely is.
That's the exchange rate.
Pounds at £1.22, $1.22.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yes, it's all good fun. Luckily, we've been able to get a grant as well from the local business innovation centre, so that's going to help on that one. So, and what was the opinion about Marmite Gate?
Go to Aldi's or Lidl's and get the equivalent.
You won't believe it, Peter. We got a jar on the cupboard. We love it. Yeah, it's a good idea as ever.
I'm a Bovril man myself.
I like Bovril as well, and I don't think there's a substitute for Bovril. There is for. Have you ever tried Vegemite?
Oh yes, the Australian version.
And
I quite like that too.
oh, okay.
Now, here's a question: if Aldi's and Lidl's bring their stuff into Britain, will it get more expensive?
Well, it must do, because it's got to be bought in, I would have thought, in euros.
Yeah.
But all their meat and all their veg is all grown
In
here.
British, isn't it?
It's British. It's British beef. It's British pork. It's British lamb. It's British chickens.
Yeah.
And British lettuce.
Right.
So it shouldn't really, I mean, obviously it will, but I think people.
And also, we see a lot of electric grills and things under their Parkside brand. A lot of them are made in Walsall.
Oh, good.
Manufactured in Walsall. Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Gentlemen, I have to go. I've got
Okay, Peter.
So, nice meeting you again. I'll
Okay.
catch up with you.
Cheers. Have a good weekend. See you next
Bye-bye.
week. Take care. Right, and I'm going to. All right. Okay. If anyone wants to pop on, if you just press the camera bottom right-hand corner of the screen, you're more than welcome to join us. I think it's safe to say that we're exclusive to you today on Fire Talk. We ain't leaving here. We're settled, and we'll just chill. Just chill.
Are you Facebook living it at all?
I was ill from Monday through to virtually this morning. I had to cancel 4 shows.
Oh wow.
So I had an interview. Well, I've forgotten what the shows were now. It shows how well I am. But Roadshop.tv should have been on last night. That was on Facebook Live. That didn't take place.
Across the pond?
Across the pond, Leland ran it and had fun, technical fun. He X'd himself out of the programme, and the programme went on without him at the end. They have problems with Facebook. So it's not, but there wasn't a single show that took place on. There were 3 shows supposed to take place on Tuesday. This is a true story. Okay. I woke up Tuesday morning, 9 o'clock. I felt crap. So I messaged Kevin. We're going to be on the show at 12 o'clock. And I said to him, Kevin, I'm sorry, mate, can't do it. Can we do it next Tuesday? Yeah. Right. Went off to Kip. Came back at 12:44 to see a message from Sarah, which said, Kevin's crook today. He can't make it. He apologises for letting you know too late. So we both copped it on the same day, so there's no way that show would have taken place. And then I was supposed to do a show with Peter yesterday, which I was looking forward to. We were just going to do a half-hour show, and that didn't take place. So this is Blabbing for Britain. It's Thursday. We're on Fire Talk, and I'm quite happy to stay here today. You happy with the new photograph, guys? And
I love it. I love it.
Good.
I also must congratulate Jon on his video appearance in the late 80s.
Late 80s, not that long ago. 2006.
Really? Okay. And I love this sort of the knowing me, knowing you ABBA thing, with your little to the start.
No, it was Alias Smith and Jones, down to a T. Alas Smith and Jones.
Alias or Alas Smith?
Alas, I'm just deciding now. Alas, I think.
I feel good to be compared to Smith and Jones.
No, it's pretty good. That was the sort of head-to-head technique, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very 80s in 2006. It was good. No, it was good. I mean, we take being on camera now to here today and chatting. We've been doing it.
The pink shirt has actually caused more comment than anything.
Well, that's not surprising, really.
Well, because you know where the pink shirt came from, don't you?
You borrowed it, didn't you?
No. Well, I borrowed the concept. It was a TP concept, wasn't it?
Thomas Power.
The Academy days.
Indeed. Yeah.
Have you talked about Trump?
No, we're not mentioning. You can if you wish. I mean,
maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. Have you watched the debates?
Yeah, I watched well, only the outtakes. I haven't watched the whole thing because it's too early in the morning.
I watched it. I mean, I don't know whether I'm depressed or excited about what's going on, but it's just the most incredible. It's that, you know, I've watched The West Wing religiously. I've watched House of Cards. To be honest, I've watched Game of Thrones. And they've all got nothing on this bloke and this competition and what America's managed to do to itself. I think they've got 300 million people in the US.
Yeah.
And they've ended up with this pair. How on earth have they got to that situation? You know, I just don't know how they've done it. It's just incredible. It's incredible. It's incredible.
Neil wants to join us, Stephen.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, thanks for spotting that, John.
He wants to come and talk about his bus with the Marmite on the side.
All right. Okay.
His link that he posted above links to the famous NHS bus, but the NHS logo has been replaced with a Marmite jar.
All right. Morning, Neil.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you all?
Morning.
Battling on.
Good. I look very red on there, don't I? I think it's a t-shirt, and I've been for a run this morning, so I look completely beetroot, don't I?
Good circulation.
Good Marmite in you.
Yeah.
Right.
I had to come in when you started talking about Trump because it just makes me laugh. I mean, one of those things that's always come up when I've had discussions with people about the USA and their presidential, and you think Ronald Reagan, and that always takes me back to the Back to the Future film where he goes back and he says, "Who's the president?" He says, "Ronald Reagan." He goes, "The movie star." And you have to think, what? How did they get to this position where they've got, you know, this person in there that's got potential, I suppose, to take the seat, and you think, but he's crazy. But something made me smile, ironically, the other day, because we're quite good in Britain at sort of mocking the Americans for their sort of election processes and the people that eventually end up being nominated for to stand. And I thought, yeah, because we've got Boris Johnson as the Foreign Secretary, and Diane Abbott is the Shadow Home Secretary.
I love Boris's latest attempt at diplomacy, and I want you to protest outside the Russian embassy. Diplomacy or what?
Well, they then showed the photograph of the protesters outside the embassy with more reporters and one protester who obeyed Boris. I mean, it defies logic, the things that these people say. Doesn't it? It's just, yeah. I mean, the only godsend we have at the moment, if we're to believe what we read, and we have to occasionally, is that Mrs. Clinton is now well ahead in the polls, and strangely, I mean, they've started voting now. Not on the day itself. They're doing the postal votes and the whatever, and they're able to tell from that, apparently, from that whether she's won or not. So they know before the day whether she's actually won or not, because so many people use these type of votes now, not voting on the day, voting in advance, that they're able to predict the outcome before the day. It's just. Yeah.
And have they actually gone public yet, or are they still waiting?
They're saying it's heading that way, because basically, what's happened is that the Democratic campaigns in each of the counties each of the states have actually been out getting people to register to vote in advance, and the number of Democrats registering to vote in advance is way up anything it's ever been, and the number of Republicans who are doing it is down.
And she's definitely the best of a bad job, I suppose, but you know, at least she's got a brain in it. Oh, sorry, this is unfair.
Well, I thought that the icing on the cake was when Mr. Putin, who was supposed to appear on stage with Mr. Trump, said no, thank you.
Hey, maybe you should get Boris across to talk for him. Right wing, aren't they, both of them?
There's right wing and wrong wing, and I think I don't know. It's all good fun.
It is good. It is good fun, but there's that thing at the back of your head thinking, what if he did get in? You know, you think the thoughts are just so horrific. You know, have you heard about his plan? His plan for plan for anything actually. He says, "Yeah, I've got a plan. I've got a good plan. It's a great plan. It's a really good plan. It's beautiful. It's a great plan." Is that it? Yeah, that's the plan. It's just like you can't even string English words together, English sentences properly. I know I can't, but you know, I'm not standing for president.
Not this week. Your chance will come. Good morning, Dan. Good morning,
you are standing for president of Stoke, aren't you?
No.
The Republic of Stoke.
The Republic. No. I'm limiting my aspirations to getting TEDx Stoke off the ground, as I'm sure you're aware. TEDx Stoke runs on the 3rd of December at the Sixth Form College. Go to tedxstoke.com and
does it have a time of day?
And yes, it does now. Splashed all over the front of the Thank you. I'd like to just recognise John for his commercial and technical skills, helping us to put the start time on the front page. But, you've got to start somewhere. And yes, at TEDxstoke.com, go through to our Eventbrite page. It's going to be a belter of a day. That's the technical term. It's going to be a belter of a day. And listen, have you heard of Hanley Park at all?
I've heard of Hanley Park.
Been there, yeah, beautiful place.
Well, it's always been in my mind designed by the same guy who designed Central Park in New York. Turns out it's a lie that I've been propagating for the last 20 years because it wasn't. So I was having a meeting with the guys at Hanley Park the other day because they just got £2.5 million worth, or a lot of money, from the National Lottery Fund or something like that to renovate the thing, rebuild all the broken walls, and make it a fabulous place. And I'm hopeful, and this is real breaking news for me. I'm hopeful that in a couple of years' time we might be able to do TEDx Stoke in a tent in Hanley Park, which is a pretty bloody neat thing. But just in case I haven't mentioned it enough, TEDx is happening in Stoke on the 3rd of December. It's going to be wonderful. So that's
What's the theme, Stephen?
Facing the future. Facing the future. We've thought for a long time. Stokies as a sort of type are very self-deprecating and get a lot of criticism from non-Stokies, so to speak. But the speakers that we've got talking on the day, 3rd of December, are just an amazing bunch of people. And you can check out who they are at tedxstoke.com/speakers. But what we're showing is that Stoke is more than capable of facing the future, facing the challenges that we've got, and we've got great plans and great technology. And I could go into Donald Trump mode now and sort of say we've got plans for this and plans for that. But as an area, we're really rocking, and the TED event is a way of showing that. And we're talking to local press at the moment to. It's not a one-off. It's a new series of TEDx's, which are going to be something magical, I think, for the area. That's why we're doing it. All volunteers, but it's going to be fantastic. And of course, you'll be able to look at it if you can't make it. And I know it's a fair trek, Stephen, but of course, all the speeches will be on the TEDx Stoke site, and eventually on the TED.com site, which has there was a landmark the other day, or a milestone the other day reached, where they've had 1 billion views of the however many thousand of videos are on the TED Talks site.
Yeah,
1 billion people have watched the all the videos that, you know, from Bill Clinton, Bill Gates to Branson, and a whole. It's just a marvelous thing, and I'm just chuffed that we've got a chance to do it here.
3rd of December, you said.
3rd of December, at Stoke Sixth Form College, and it's going to be fun.
What time does it start?
10 a.m. You've been talking to John. 10 a.m. the whole day.
Prices and the prices.
The price is £30 per ticket, and it's a gorgeous event. It's going to be brilliant. It's a lovely event, and I'm telling you.
The beer in Stoke.
Well, don't tell anybody, but there's a pub next door, practically next door, called the Glebe, which is the best pub in Stoke. We might be having to share it with a load of Stoke supporters, but that's not a bad thing because they're all great people, especially if we've been. Do you know, it might even be Burnley we're playing on the 3rd of December, Stephen, I think.
Okay.
Can I jump back in time? We mentioned about Southgate earlier. While we've been on air, a new story has appeared on the front page of the BBC site.
Okay.
Stating that Mr. Southgate should get a long time because his win rate with the under-21s is 80%, and he's being backed by the players as well.
Yeah, I hope he gets the job, because we need stability. We need somebody who the players respect, and we need somebody who's not doing it for brass. As we say up north in Burnley, which is the friendliest city in the UK. We discussed that earlier as well, Stephen. Burnley has been voted not by Burnley folk, but by some wonderful institution in which I believe.
The Garton Institute.
Yeah, Burnley is the friendliest place in the UK.
Okay.
There you are.
You dispute that, but there you go. Because Stoke is the finest place in the UK for everything.
Right, okay, we'll stay with friendliest and finest then. Solid old John.
No, I was just going to ask, Southgate, the England performance on Tuesday night was abysmal.
It wasn't the best.
Was that an indication of Southgate's style, or was he just sort of perpetuating the previous short-term ownership of the manager?
Well, I mean, let's give him something. He's had to really run with what had already been chosen player-wise.
Is that okay? That's fair enough. That's
His own team yet, is he?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking. I mean, the squad was preordained, wasn't it? Because
what's his name?
Oh, Allardyce had
already chosen and announced the squad.
Okay, fair dues. That's fair enough. And he did bench Rooney, didn't he?
Stuck him on in the 52nd minute, or was it the 72nd minute? One or the other, anyway.
Yeah. But it
made subtle difference. So.
But he did have what you might call the younger players on the field, didn't he? And they still didn't give a monkeys. I think I might be wrong.
It's a bit like what I said about Roberto Di Maio earlier in the broadcast. Is, you've got to give the bloke a chance, and 4 matches isn't a chance as far as I'm concerned, because 11 matches for Roberto Di Maio wasn't a chance in my opinion either.
Who's that, mate? Roberto Di Maio?
He was the Villa manager that got sacked last week.
They've got a new one, haven't they?
We've already had that one. We've done that topic.
Been there, done that.
Do you approve though, John?
Sorry?
Do you approve of the new one?
Very much, but I would have liked Roberto Di Maio to have till the end of January.
Okay. Fair enough.
No, we haven't.
Not quite. Do you know what, though, Stephen? As in Silk, we haven't mentioned cricket yet.
No, we're not talking. Well, we can. I can just quickly mention the cricket. England won the series 2-1 after a wonderful day's cricket the other day. England are on top again, which is, you can't get better than that, really. Winning team. No draws here. We always go out and win. The England cricket team. Anyway, Neil, it's good that you're with us today, and glad you could join us. Do you have an update on how Don't Stream and Drive is going?
Excuse me. What can I tell you? I'm in discussions with the staff officer to Suzette Davenport, who is the Chief Con at Gloucester, who holds the national portfolio for road policing for the NPCC. There's a hope that Don't Stream and Drive will be, and Don't Stream and Drive Day will be incorporated into a week-long mobile phone campaign. So there'll be the national mobile phone campaign that all the forces get involved in, and Don't Stream and Drive Day will fall within that and be highlighted as part of that national campaign, which is good. As far as my stuff goes, I continue to do my stuff through Twitter, where I'm challenging and calling people out. I've also got the week before, I spoke to the TISPOL conference, the European Road Traffic Policing Network, at Manchester Airport at their annual conference about Don't Stream and Drive. I was invited to go and speak about that, so I presented to officers from around Europe, which is quite a bizarre experience when you walk into a room and there's just a whole myriad of police uniforms that you don't know whether it's the chief of police or the superintendent or because they've got medals and all sorts of stuff on the stars, and you think, are they from Spain, or are they from Lithuania, or are they from, so I presented to them, which went down very well, I'm pleased to say. I'm speaking next week to the National Roads Policing Intelligence Forum, which is national intelligence group for road policing around the country, that is managed by Suzette's staff officer again, but it's officers from all around the country that I'll go and speak to about the dangers of streaming and driving, and what I've done and what they can do. And I'm sort of it's one of those things that's really difficult to detect if you're just driving down the road in a patrol car. So I'm sort of trying to push now, saying there's different ways that we can detect things and different ways that we can gain prosecutions, but we've got to start getting clever about how we retain that evidence and present that evidence to the CPS so that we can get convictions on the back of it. There was a chap in London, just a very short story, chap in London who was brought to my attention by somebody on Twitter who said, have you seen this? Because they were aware of the campaign. I went and had a look at it, was absolutely appalled at what I saw. He was driving a Lamborghini, he was driving one-handed, it was a convertible, so he was full of himself and quite full of bravado and how good am I because I'm a young 20-year-old lad and I've earned enough to have this Lamborghini, and he wanted to show it off. But he was doing it whilst holding his phone and driving, so he was showing where he was holding it up above the windscreen with the top down, so the phone was up in the air. And I sort of looked and thought, oh, I can't call this fella out because it's just too bad. So in a very unorthodox way, for fear of him deleting the footage, I actually played the footage on my phone and recorded it with my iPad. Okay, if I'd had time, I'd have plugged it into the Mac and done a screen grab through QuickTime and caught it all through QuickTime, which is a bit more professional. But I didn't. I thought, I don't want to lose this, so I secured the footage. Didn't make any mention to him. Got in touch with the Met at Hounslow through Twitter. Interestingly, then I'm trying to get hold of them, saying you need to see this before it's deleted. And another Twitter user said, I've got a contact with the chief inspector because I'm part of the community team, the community sort of consultative group at Hounslow. The chief inspector's this person. Here's his email. So I immediately emailed the chief inspector and said, I don't want to bother you with this, but blah, 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 blah. Upshot was I submitted the video evidence. I submitted still screenshots from the footage that I'd secured before it was deleted. And a sort of 4 or 5 page statement detailing everything that I'd done and what have you. Metropolitan Police picked it up and prosecuted him, put him before the court. He pleaded guilty. He was disqualified for 3 months, fined about 500 quid, and then costs and victims charge on top. And it's great because I can use that as an example now to say that I've secured a prosecution against this fellow with the help of the Met when I was off duty, 200 miles away from where the offence was being committed, but we've still got a dangerous driver off the roads for a while and wrapped his knuckles. So that's quite sort of interesting to sort of start exploring that now nationally and say, how are we going to start looking at capturing and retaining evidence in a national standard? So there's some interest in looking at that, and so hopefully I can play my part in that too. So, but all being well, we'll move to a Don't Stream and Drive Day next year, and it will form part of an integral part of an overall Fatal 4 mobile phone use campaign. So doing well.
Well done.
Excellent. It's good news that it continues because it's global now, isn't it? And there are parallel organisations in the States and Canada. And
yeah, I think some of them were there before. Definitely the Don't Text and Drive, and there's It Can Wait campaign. I think has been going for some time, and they've potentially got more momentum than I have. I don't know, but it was just something that came up, and it's grown, and it keeps, it picks up international interest, and most of the we had all the national TV and radio stuff just in the run up to the April the 8th this year, and then just afterwards, and then we had the appearance on Good Morning Britain, which came out of the blue, but has been great. And occasionally I'm still getting calls from media people just sort of saying, we want to talk to you about this. And, there's a Jeremy Kyle program of some sort where he does some investigatory stuff. I've never seen it. He does some sort of investigation stuff, not the daytime tripe. Sorry, Jeremy, but it's tripe. They were keen to sort of go out in a car and say, can we go out in a car and catch people doing this and really point out the danger? I said, it's not that easy, because, getting somebody using their phone while they're holding it to their ear as they drive down the road is quite easy to do with a traffic car, but getting somebody who's got it on a clamp, you just don't know, unless you're scanning Periscope looking for people doing it and then hoping to goodness that you're in the right location, which is just,
true.
I've got to stop, guys. Speak to you soon. Take care.
Okay.
Nice to see you, Stephen.
Take care, man.
Right.
But all good.
Okay.
All good.
Can I make one thing?
Sure.
I met a lot of policemen as a result of over the Twitter and Facebook. But there was a post by Constable Chaos yesterday that really, it was a bad day for me yesterday, but the Constable, it was my mum's funeral yesterday, Neil.
Sorry to hear that.
Well, Dad died a few weeks before, so I've had 2 funerals in 4 weeks. But that wasn't one. Constable Chaos posted about police dog Finn yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if anybody's seen it. I've shared it on my thread about a 17-year-old, and I can't use the word I'd like to use, 17-year-old that stabbed the police dog twice because the police dog was hanging off his arm when he did an attempted burglary. There's a petition with that, and I'd like to implore people to sign the petition. The petition is to give the police dog more cover, because the only thing the yob can be charged with is criminal damage.
Criminal damage.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see the police dogs promoted so that there is something that gives more substantial charges for doing that. And Constable Kaz has printed the link, posted the link. It's on my Facebook page, but it's also here as well. And if people would sign that, I think it would be a good thing in the support of police dogs.
It's an amazing thing, isn't it, that cats and dogs on social media always have a huge impact, and the staff in our control room regularly post stuff about missing dogs. This dog's gone missing, or we found this dog, can you help, and all this of it. And I pull what's left of my hair out and sort of go, stop posting about missing dogs. And if it's something unique, let's have it, but if it's just another missing dog, is it really?
In this particular
case, what it does is it gets a huge response from the public. They really get behind it. And Finn's Law, FINNS Law, is the Twitter account that's actually behind it. And I first had my attention drawn to it a couple of days ago, and it was just over 1,000 signatures. And within 2 full days, it's over 30,000. It's leapt incredibly.
Yeah.
And I posted a picture this morning. It's a picture of Finn, and he's laid down.
I can't believe how much damage it's done.
And it's horrific. And it's just basically calling that you know, if it should be the same as assaulting a police officer. But it's a bit of it's an emotional thing that a lot of people are going to get behind. But I think sometimes, whilst I fully support it, I think it's a great idea and what have you. The criminal damage is an indictable only offence. Is not an indictable only. It's an indictable offence. In other words, it can go to Crown Court as well as it can go to magistrates. And so it would ultimately boil down to how the Crown Prosecution Service deem the severity of the attack and the severity of the damage in order to determine the best process of trial. Whereas, what are we campaigning for? Because we can't campaign for a police dog to fall in line with the Offences Against the Persons Act for ABH, GBH, murder, which is common law, manslaughter, and so on. A dog cannot fall into that legislation. It would be ridiculous. So the only thing that they can really campaign for is either a unique offence of attacking a police animal, a horse or dog or whatever it happens to be, the station cat. But if they were to go for the same line as police assault, well, police assault is a summary only offence, so it can only be tried by the magistrates as a maximum of 6 months imprisonment. Now, that might be enough, you might say, if it's a dog, and maybe that's the case. But I wonder how far they want it to go, because sometimes you sort of think there's an awful lot of people who are never quite satisfied no matter what you do.
And my own solution was to...
but criminal damage carries a greater sentence than, you know, I mean, much as if a police officer is assaulted on duty and they have more serious injuries, well, then the offender is charged with the more serious offences. They don't charge police assault. They charge ABH, they charge GBH or whatever it happens to be. And so in some cases, criminal damage might actually carry a more severe penalty than a police assault. So
I'm afraid I'm of the
play on words.
The combat knife should have been used to adjust his feature.
Well, yes. Okay. Now,
what is a 17-year-old doing with a serrated combat knife?
That's quite radical, John.
Yeah.
Right.
Guns and knives take lives. There's you know, it's true today as it's always been. So
yeah, it is. Fortunately, this is part of our lives, and I'm just grateful that in the UK is of a magnitude less than it is in the USA, and that we have. I'm going to take it. Our race relations in this country are far better than those of other countries. I mean, the French president the other day said there were too many Muslims, which there might be, but it's not a harmonising statement, is it?
No, I think his issue, though, is that he only has a few miles from Morocco to his south coast.
Yeah.
And it's a different issue from ours. Okay, we have 22 miles separating us from Europe. But it's less than that, separating the top of Morocco and the bottom of France. So.
Yeah, I at the moment I'm writing my chairman's speech as chairman of the Twinning Association, the Advisors Twinning Association. I'm writing my speech because now, obviously, we're twinned with Blabbing in Germany and Maine in France, and every year we swap and visit each other. And it's been going since the 1960s. We celebrate 50 years next year. And that's got to go on, despite the fact that we've left the EU. It doesn't mean we've left Europe. We are still, a lot of us anyway, certainly 48% of us, are Europeans by nature. And, you know, I'm trying to get that across, that we are still part of Europe, but may not part of the EU. Which brings us full circle on our conversation today, because we started off with Marmite and Tesco's. Which is definitely a Brexit situation. Not that we've left yet. Right, gentlemen, shall we? I mean, we've been going now for just over an hour and 10.
I have to pop into Smile Time now because I've promised a drop-in session this morning. So,
good luck with that, sir. It's a great platform.
Yeah, I think Fire Talk and Huzza have sort of dropped out of the arena for us, really, because unbeknown to me, I found out last night that Fire Talk's only going to give me 10 minutes of broadcast time unless I put my hand in my pocket.
There's no way to put your money at the moment because they've not announced any pricing. What they've actually said is, I mean, we're fortunate. There are about a dozen people who can still broadcast on here for the same as we could before. But for everybody else, they just dropped down to 10 minutes, 10 people watching. And I don't understand the logic of it at all.
Yeah.
Because it's a Ratner moment. It's saying don't use our system. And of course, what's happening is that not only are the people who've been downgraded, if you like, unhappy, but the people who've still got it feel like lemmings. Well, not like that's the word I'm looking for. That we're all equal and we should all have the same rights. So good luck on Smart Time, though.
I shall go and have it, and we're giving it a try and see how it goes. I'd prefer to be able to log in through Twitter than Facebook, but it's one of those things. So I'm basically going to do some drop-in sessions and get people to join in and see what they think and have a chat. And then if we can use it for offbeat cops.
Updates in the last 48 hours to Smile Time, so that if you had two people who had one big person and a small, but I saw last night that they're now doing side by side on Smile Time.
Yeah. So, but I was on last night just playing with it, and one of the developers just dropped into the chat and then came in on the screen and was happy. You know, I think the owner was there chatting away, saying it does this and does that, and we're looking at this and we're looking at that, and we don't want to charge anybody, and we're working on. We're working on creators more than, and then people will pay you. So, not that we'll go down that line, but it's interesting. But it's one of those things, isn't it? The demise of Blab, and then, with all its problems and faults, but it had an awful lot of.
I think Stephen and I both like Blue Jeans a lot. But again, we're waiting to find out what it's going to cost to use.
Yeah, because I've got the Blue Jeans app on my phone because I think it was you, Stephen, with Eileen.
Oh, with Eileen on Saturday,
and I saw that with the Blue Jeans watermark in the top right corner, and I thought, oh, what's this Blue Jeans thing? And again, that seems to be a subscription service, but I don't fully understand that one either yet. So
again, it's a 30-day free trial. It's up to 9 on screen at the same time. You can have more than one moderator. It works. It goes to Facebook Live. It goes to Facebook Live groups. It's free at the moment. 30-day trial. If you're looking around, then I give it a whirl because it works and it goes to Facebook.
And it's come from the professional market downwards, and when you see it and you sit in it, you can tell that it's come from the professional market.
Yeah, we'll give it a try.
It is a beautifully crafted piece of work.
Cool.
But we don't know whether it's going to cost us $10 or $10,000 to use.
Exactly. See, the problem is they've got a product which goes alongside. And people have been paying $2,500 a show to use that, $2,500 that is. So, as John says, we've no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Interesting times.
Yes. Right, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. It's always fun to listen in and enjoy the conversation. And I shall see you on the next one, hopefully.
Okay, look forward to it. Bye-bye. Cheers. Right, okay, then. Just me and me again. And we're friendly up north, I know, so I'd best say hello to everybody and
the warmest place in Britain.
Only
that's the Sunday the Times' headline: the warmest place in Britain.
Brilliant. I just love it.
Friendly warm, not warm as in heat.
Just between you and me, it's a change from the days when there were riots in Burnley, because we've all forgotten those, except for those who live there. And the restorations now are in harmony. And the town must be doing well because the tech is doing well. And the friendliest place in Britain is a title that we all wish our places we live to have.
Well, Solihull has been said to be the best place to live in Britain yet again. So it's interesting to see.
Yeah. And
Okey-doke. Well, it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him. and we'll see you next week, 10 o'clock. Thanks. Take care. Have a great weekend, and bye for now. Bye.
Bye for me too. Bye bye.